No, it didn't hang up. Hey, Chris, how you doing? It did seem like it took longer than normal for some reason. I don't know why that is. Hi, my name's Shawn Shaler. That guy over there, hey, I pointed the right direction, is my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek. And I agree entirely. That intro felt like it took longer. It's supposed to be 10 seconds. I didn't time it. Intro's 10 seconds, outro's 20 seconds. Ooh, I think it was also really loud. I bet I forgot to adjust the volume since I have moved to the new computer. I cranked it down on the previous one, and I don't know if I've done that. So if the intro was really long and really loud, I'm real sorry. Real sorry. Chris, what are we supposed to do for an intro for the next episode? We're going to put the Avatar music over the... No spoilers. Can't tell you what's going on.
Although this episode comes out after, before the next episode. Wait, no,
Oh,
this
you're
episode comes
right.
out
Yeah,
after
we're recording
the
it.
next episode we're recording.
Great. I just pulled back the curtain. Now everybody knows that we're chronologically frauds. Well, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode, which was great. It was perfect.
Yeah.
And I bet we do a stellar different intro that I'll cook up in the 10 minutes between now and then. No, it'll probably just get an Avatar intro. Hey, it's still the Avatar, The Last Podcasters podcast. Hi, I'm Shawn Taylor. That's Chris Ford. And today we are talking about Book 4, Balance, Chapter 8, Remembrances. And this is a very unique episode. And Chris, oh my goodness, that was so funny. Your video like froze for a second, and we're using Discord today. We're doing something a little different today. It froze for a second, but then it caught up. Like instead of just jumping to where you were now, it like fast forwarded, caught up, and it was hilarious.
Nice.
And I don't, it just did it again. What the hell? I don't know. I was so excited to find.
Back.
It looks so comical when it happens. I was so excited to find Discord. Or just to try to use Discord for what we're about to do. But if like every 10 seconds it's going to be like Chris paused for 5 seconds and then 5 seconds of Chris catching up in like a 1950s like comedic fast forward routine. I don't know how I feel about that. But your audio sounds good, Chris, for whatever that's worth.
Well, that's worth a lot.
It is. It's much easier or less distracting to not have fast forwarded audio. How you doing, buddy? What's up?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty decent. Not that much going on this week. Just, I don't know, a little bit more motivated to get back into YouTube stuff. Maybe because I'm not as motivated to do action figure stuff. Like I was cranking out like an action figure every 2 days, and I'm working on the same one. It's not even really all that complicated for like the past 3 weeks. But I just been like, oh, it's late at night, and I just want to watch a movie and lay down, and I end up not watching a movie, just falling asleep. But anyway, I'm doing great.
Excellent.
How are you doing, Shawn?
Same. I've done a couple YouTube things myself. Been motivated to play more of my Switch games for longer. I have a lot of them. My tendency is to pop them in for like 10 minutes, be like, oh yeah, I'll pick that up again someday. Or some of them I was like, I hate that, but I feel obligated to keep it in my collection because it's got something in the name or the franchise that is relatively meaningful. So I was like, no, I'm going to start putting like an hour or two just between bedtime. I love the Switch. I set it on my belly. I play it in bed. And then just like short 1 to 2 minute YouTube reviews just to, A, I like doing that. And then B, kind of forces me to play them. What am I looking for? With like thoughtfully, as opposed to just, 10 minutes for no apparent reason. So yeah, I put up a couple videos the past few weeks. Go check out our other videos that we're putting up. Chris, looking forward to some of yours, and especially leading up to Comic-Con. And get all your good stuff built into there so you can push it to all of our panel goers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to do that. I should just make them all sit down and watch. I should make them all pull out their phones. Go to my YouTube page. Hit subscribe. I'm like, everyone, let's first walk through this social experiment. Everyone, take out your phone. Okay, go to YouTube. Put in The Objective Geek. Hit subscribe. Now, do I feel better? I do. Thank you for taking part in this experiment.
Trivia question 1. Are you subscribed to The Objective Geek? No. Okay. Leave. Ooh. Or trivia question 2. Give back the door prize. Here, give back.
Yeah. Okay, well, not... Yeah. It's like...
I said give it back! Yeah, no, you gotta build on that hype so we can can push that out there too. Can I call them our fans if they're just people that show up at con but they don't know who we are? They just see Avatar. Can I pretend they're our fans? I won't say it out loud.
Mm,
Just internally, I'll be like, they're here for us.
yes, no, they will be there for us. No one, that thing will not exist if not for us.
Right, but don't you think they'll actually just be there because Avatar: The Last Airbender is in the title?
Yeah, but we're there. We're the
But
ones that made that
we're at the front of the
happen.
room. That's for us.
Yeah.
I can't take your
If I had an
video
assistant,
seriously. It's amazing.
oh gosh, if I had an assistant, they would be able to get in for free also, but I don't.
If Heather decides she wants to come, she can be the assistant.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah, I don't think
true.
that she wants to come, but if she decides she wants to come, the thing is that Heather liked Avatar: The Last Airbender. She just doesn't nerd on any TV show the way that, like, you do on Avatar or I do on weird comedies or whatever. Like, she just doesn't have that like extra
Mm,
step bone in her butt. Like, she has sat and watched Avatar through at least a couple times
yeah.
as adults, so she's familiar enough. She just
Uh, so I saw the Batman for a second time, and I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the movies." She's like, "What are you gonna see?" I was like, "The Batman." So didn't you already see that? Like, why are you going to go see? Like, do you even know me? Like, because it's the Batman. Like, that's what I do. I love this thing, so I'm gonna go see it. I love Batman. I'm gonna see it again. I was like, you wouldn't understand. You don't love anything that much. And that
that's
sounded. It sounded. I was like, it's true. You're not as into things as much as I'm into
you should have
things.
you don't love any materialistic type thing that much.
Yeah.
You hate your
I think that's
kids,
what
you
I
hate your
mean.
husband.
I
You wouldn't
I,
understand what I love for Batman, okay? You wouldn't get us.
I pay, yeah.
I feel that way about my wife. She just doesn't nerd out quite that hard on anything except for like quilting. She goes crazy. Like, she goes to quilt groups, which I would consider the equivalent of
Mm,
like that's a book
yeah.
club or a podcast. Like, that's the same thing. So that would be her one exception. That yeah, I I know so many people that love Batman, and regardless of their feelings of like where they've placed this movie, they have gone back to see it multiple times just because it is so different. And you will hopefully have all
Mm.
heard this by now, but like so different from the more recent entries that we have watched. So, yep, lots of people do that. Chris, you're not weird. Tell your wife, validate. But hey, Chris, we're on a slight time budget this evening with Remembrances before we talk about Batman, even though you'll have already heard it by now. And we got to talk about Remembrances, which is very divisive episode. Well, it's not divisive. I think everybody mostly feels the same way about it before they know about the context, and then after they know about
Yeah.
the context, they also feel it different, but all share it. So it's a strange episode, though. So let's jump into it. I didn't put any slides together. We've not talked about our ratings because I don't know how to feel about this yet. We're just gonna talk it out, figure it out as we go.
Okay, so Remembrance is pretty much all right. Let's first let's backtrack to just a little bit why Remembrances is the way it is. And it's really funny. Like, so Remembrances is a clips episode. If you don't know what clips episode is, that's probably one of your most annoying episodes in any TV show, really. Um, this episode where they pretty much recap everything that's happened previously, and sometimes it's usually at the end of the series that happens. Uh, Clip episodes really usually aren't that good because you just feel like it's a waste of your time. But I feel like Community did a good clips episode. I think they did one time where it was just
I
like it
love
wasn't
the
even real
community clips
stuff.
episode because the clips weren't real
Yes,
from the show. It was
yes, they
amazing.
were real stuff. Yeah, yeah. And were they trying to say that they were all insane at the end? Some guy was trying to convince them that they were insane,
That
and
is
they
a
were like,
different
"Wait,
clips episode. That is season 3
oh, it's a different clip." Okay,
clips episode, and it does have like a different approach to it. I think the clips episode that
yeah.
I love is season 2, where at the end Jeff gives this really disjointed speech, but then it takes like its clips of
Mhm.
all these
Yeah, yeah,
different
yeah,
things
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that happen in their
Yes,
memories,
yes,
but not in the
yeah.
show. That one I
The
love,
thing
but
is,
that one, like, they had to do as much, if not more, work to produce that one. So that one,
yes,
they just
yes.
did it to
So,
be a good clips episode.
very good point. So, Avatar also did a good clips episode, which is the Ember Island Players episode, right? Because technically, that's the point of clips episodes. Is you have your characters, and they kind of recap what's been going on, lets them kind of digest things, and it kind of shows the character arcs
And to
and
save
stuff, and
money.
they've changes they've made. Sometimes.
Avatars
So with
wouldn't have saved money
Avatar,
either, though, would it? Yeah, because it was totally different
no,
production.
no. So yeah, so I watched the commentary for this episode, and they had talked about the Bryan players, and he was like, "Yeah, that ended up being a whole lot of work because we had to do all these new character designs because all of those players are different character designs. They're not complete one-to-one translations from Katara to the play version of Katara. So they had to do all these new character designs. They had to do new, and they also had to do new character designs for Team Avatar for a couple of them. They had to do area or background design stuff. So they're like, and then they also had to cast pretty much double the cast. So they're like, this was a lot of work.
It was a very ineffective, financially ineffective clip. That's I love Ember Island players. I don't know what we rated it, but I think we are both relatively high on it. And but that does stand out as kind of an
I'm
outlier of
curious.
being double the
Yeah.
work as opposed to. I can pull it up actually. Let's. Do you know what episode
But no,
number?
don't tell me yet. Don't tell me yet because
Okay.
I want to see where we're at
Do,
after I get done reviewing this.
do you remember what
I'm
episode
really
number it
curious.
is though, Chris?
See, it should be three. Okay, so I was heard 21 episodes, 21, 18, 317.
317. So 47 total. No, sorry, 57 total.
Total
57.
episodes in Avatar, there's 61.
Yeah, so 57 total.
Yes, sorry. Yes,
Okay.
57.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Oh yeah. Okay. We'll come back. We'll revisit.
Yeah.
So yeah, those
All right.
are probably
Okay.
kind of outliers, but I do love that community episode too. That's
Yeah.
very amusing.
Uh, so Mike and Brian, they had plans. They had a budget, right? They had a budget for the TV show. Then the studio came in and said, "We're reducing your budget," and then they were left with the option of to one, let their staff go early, or two, make this episode because they like their staff and stuff. And Brian was saying like, and we wouldn't be able to do any of this without them. We decided to do this episode, and they didn't really like the thought of this episode, especially Michael Dante DiMartino didn't like it. But after a while, they came to love the episode. But even I will say this: when the episode premiered, because I was watching it in the time that it was on, like it was weird because before the episode even, or right when the episode came out, Brian and Mike both released statements. Like they released statement about how they weren't no longer involved in the Netflix series. Like they
Yeah,
both released statements on this episode. It was kind of a weird kind of deal,
it's never
and
been
they
like a
pretty much
good
disclaimed.
thing when they.
Uh, um. So yeah, so that's the contents of the first episode, and so this episode kind of is broken off between three pieces. You have Mako and Prince Wu at with their grandma and cousin, just kind of recapping where Mako's journey, and then you have Korra and Asami recapping Korra's journey, and you have Bolin kind of recapping their journey, and all of it kind of recaps the whole thing in the whole seasons of 1, 2, and 3, and pretty much 1, 2, and 3. Um, the Mako's part, so his is first. There's only a few things I really liked about that one. The grandma, I think, has some good moments. I love the grandma. She's a good,
Mm.
funny character. Like when Mako is like, it's funny. Like, oh, I kissed Core when I was dating Asami, and she was like, "Dad, Mako, you're just like your grandfather." Like, what the heck was the grandfather doing?
She's a
To
lightning rod of comedy.
yeah. And then pretty much Mako stuff kind of just goes over like I feel like most of it goes over the love triangle aspect of the relationship and stuff. There was one Prince Wu part where I liked because Mako he's recapping how he kissed Asami after he broke up with Korra. He was like, I know, like this wasn't good. And then Prince Wu was like, actually, no, you're in the clear here. You're clearly broken up with Korra, meaning you can go ahead and go to Smooch Town with Asami. Cool by me.
We
Which,
were on a break.
oh my gosh, I just watched that clip of it and stuff. And then I watched this one clip of when Rachel and Monica, I'm sorry, Rachel and Ross had sex. They were arguing. So Rachel got pregnant, and everyone knows that she's pregnant. But they're like, all the friends are like, but who started it? Who came on to who first? And Ross and Rachel are arguing over like, oh, you came on to me. No, you came on to me.
And then at
And
the
then
end, isn't it Rachel that's like, oh, it was me or something?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So to preface this, Joey's been bringing up how like he had the perfect line in this about
I
backpacking through
remember
like
that.
you tell the girl like, oh, I once backpacked through Western Europe and so and so. For some reason that's the perfect pickup line. So if for some reason Ross has on camera them because he was doing something and then Rachel came in and he forgot to turn the camera off, and so they have proof of it, and so they all watch it together, all of them, and Rachel's like, uh, Rachel's like, oh, you're gonna be, you know, she thinks she's so right about it. She's like, Ross, you're the one begging. So then they turn the camera on, they turn the video on, and and Ross they kind of talk about their relationship and stuff. And at one point, at one point, Rachel does the line on Ross, and all of them was like, "Oh, oh, oh!" And Rachel's like, "See, wait." She's like, "Just watch. He's about to come on to me." And then they're like, "No, you're the one that came on to him. You used that pickup line." She's like, "Wait, what? Do you know about the pickup line?" And then they're like, "Yeah." And then Joey was like, "Where did you learn the pickup line from?" She's like, "My friend told me about it." She's like, "Some guy used it on her." And then Joey was like, me, some guy. It's like, no, his name was like Ken Burns. He was like, yeah, that's one of the names I use. It was like, anyway, they proved that, yeah,
I
that
do love that episode.
Rachel
It's
was,
tremendous.
yeah. Boy. Anyway, yeah. More love, W stuff. I was for some reason, middle school, I don't know, I was watching wrestling, I was watching Friends. Those were the two biggest
You
things
know, middle
that I
school
was watching.
stuff.
Yeah, middle school stuff.
I watched a lot of wrestling in middle school, so I was pretty heartbroken to hear that Scott Hall was taken off life
Yes,
support. That was heartbreaking to me. But
yeah.
R.I.P.
No,
buddy.
it definitely, yeah. Yeah, it's such a weird time. Like I remember when NWO started. Like he was the person that I loved to hate. Like he was
He
that
was like the
good.
guy who taught us about heels, like when you know he's a heel, but
Yes.
you know he's doing it well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, it's a little campy and heavy-handed, but it's also wrestling. He was the guy that sort
Uh-huh.
of explained to me the idea of a heel, because on the other side of
Mhm.
things, like WWF at the time, like I didn't always know that one guy was the bad guy. I knew who I
That's
liked, but
yeah. I do feel like WCW for some reason had more defined bad guy, good guy type of stuff, and WWF was like I don't know. There's I feel like Degeneration X was like clearly the bad people,
those for
and
sure.
Stone
But
Cold was a good person.
when I'm thinking about like Rock and Stone Cold and looking
Yeah,
back at those, like as a
exactly. Yeah,
kid, it didn't. I knew,
Mankind.
yeah, like man, thinking of Mankind
Like,
as a heel, or I forget what the other half is, the good half.
you know,
I can't think of the name, but yeah, it just didn't feel as
yeah, they were
defined.
all good. It just mattered who your favorite person
Yeah,
was. But yeah, NWO was clearly the bad people.
Scott
They came
Hall
in
with
all black.
his little curl
Yeah, they
and
get
his like half
yeah,
shaven and the toothpick and everything.
yeah. Oh, the toothpick,
That
throw it
guy
at
was
people.
clearly a heel,
Yeah,
and you knew it and you
yes, yeah,
hated it and you loved it at the same time. It's incredible. Thank you, Scott Hall,
yeah.
for teaching us how to do the like be good at playing a bad person.
Yes, yeah. No, great. Man, we're really all over the
All
place here.
over the
Anyway,
place here. At some
remember.
point, we got to cover that. We're just what do you call it? We're procrastinating of trying to decide how to
Yeah.
score this episode. That's all.
Okay. So I feel like that's most of Mako's story. You have anything to add to Mako's
No,
story as you take
his is romantic subplot garbage, and I know you said you kind of liked it. I hated it. It was my least favorite one.
No, no, I didn't like Mako's part as much. I forget. Did I say that? Anyway, didn't mean it.
Maybe
I
I'm
didn't like
sorry.
Mako's
You
part as
probably
much.
said that you liked Prince Woo's chime in, and
Yeah, I like
I
yes.
misconstrued that. That's on me.
Okay. I liked a few little pieces, but
Fair,
overall I
Grandma.
didn't like his. Yeah. They did mention like Mako has come a long way. Like he no longer is trying to like he no longer sees the need for relationships as romantic relationship. He likes to just accept these friendships as if he's grown in that kind of sense. It looks at Core in a whole different light now. Also, I think it's good that he paints Core as a heroic figure. He's like, since I've met her, like I've become a better person and things like that. Okay, so on to the Core and Asami one. I think I like this one a lot more
It's much
than
more
the
easy
previous one.
listening.
That is true, yes. Oh, we didn't talk about the chibi art style of the first one, which
Kind of like comic
I
chibi,
think,
like static chibi imagery,
yeah,
which is
yeah, that was
fine.
probably a good way for them to work around not trying to animate too many things.
Hmm?
But they still did a couple new animations. I mean, it
Well,
wasn't
and
like,
just the design of the things themselves is kind of cute and obviously took something. So
mm,
yeah, credit where credit
yeah,
is due.
yeah. The Koronasami one, I feel like I like the Koronasami one because feel like it really details Korra's growth as a character, but also details. Okay, so I like commentary. I like I've listened to the commentary of pretty much all of Avatar because I like hearing people talk about the characters that they love and different things about the characters. I also love it when characters talk about themselves. Like one of my uh things that I really hope wish Batman would do sometimes just talk about like I was to talk to people, not just inner monologue of like I am broken, like my parents died that night, like I'm not the same. Like there's a moment in Batman Begins where the judge, Joe Chill, who killed Batman's parents, Bruce Wayne's parents, is trying to get paroled, and he's at the judge. They're at the hearing and stuff, and the judge is like, so Joe Chill does this whole thing. It's like he pleads, like Your Honor, like not a day goes by that I don't feel sorry for what I did. Like sure, I was desperate, but that don't excuse anything. And then the judge is like, I gather there's a member of the Wayne family here. One thing, like there's only one member of the Wayne family,
Yeah,
like Bruce
rub it
Wayne,
in,
and,
why
and Bruce
don't
Wayne,
you?
yeah, and Bruce Wayne stands up, and I wouldn't change this in the movie technically, but I thought this moment was gonna happen. He's like, I was there, like I looked you in the eyes as you gunned down my parents, as you took all hope away from me in life. Like my father gleefully gave you what he had, and you still shot him and my mother in cold blood as the pearls trickled down her neck and entered the gutters of the sewer. Like, like I kind of wanted that moment because I want Bruce Wayne to comment on his own hardships and things like that.
That's so funny
So
to
I
me.
always
I,
love it
I
when
tend
that
to
happens.
dislike it feels like monologues to me sometimes. So in a lot of cases,
Uh,
I tend to not be quite in the same boat. But there's a lot of times where it's very character revealing in expression ways in the way like how else would you translate those feelings to a
mhm,
to an observer? So I totally understand it.
yeah,
But
yeah. So in this case, Cora is commenting on herself, and I like that she still has doubts. She's like Toph told me that it doesn't make a difference what I do. Like sure I've done this and this and this, but is that enough? Like I've been pushed so much and beaten down, and Asami is there to lift her back up. Which there's more building of the Asami stuff, right? Asami brings her some coffee, and Cora says, "Oh, that's very sweet of you." Like one thing, if if someone brings me stuff, if I and I say thank you, if I said that's blank of you, I would say that's nice of you. Sweet, that's a little more. I don't know, you're only sweet to people
yeah,
you.
like if I bring you something and you're just like thank you, and then if somebody brings you something and you're like that's very sweet of you, I'll be like
Yeah. So there's more stuff there.
"Hmm,
Granted, would have appreciated more stuff. And maybe this episode would have provided more build up there if they had an opportunity, which we'll get in possibly into that in this week's episode, where we will be rewriting Remembrances. Anyway,
I
that's for
am
next week.
oddly
We get more into that.
nervous about what to do in that
I know, right?
episode. Oddly nervous, but well,
Yeah.
I'm excited nervous too.
Yeah. I think it's because the thing is, I feel like I can more easily. Like, it's just one episode, right? But like, I feel like I've been able to easily rewrite like all of season two to a certain. I say
But
rewrite,
like to
not
fill a
really
spot
rewrite.
where like so you already have the story before and after that, right? Like you know what happens right before and
Mhm.
what comes right after. So what else do you do with this 20-minute segment?
Yeah.
It almost has to be filler in some way. Maybe not a
Mhm.
clips episode, but it almost has to be filler.
Yeah.
I entrust
We'll
making
see.
it not filler to you, Chris. Nobody will have an idea of like a more impactful story moment that didn't even previously exist, like Chris Ford.
Oh, we'll rewrite the crap out of
It'll
this. They'll
happen,
yeah.
and then we'll
Mike
send
and
it to
Brian
Mike
will
and Brian.
watch
Yeah,
this, and then they'll be like, "You guys did
they'd be like, "We'd have funded that
it."
out of our own pockets,"
Yeah. The
which
thing
is
is, it's
easier
funny
to
because
say in hindsight than it is at the time.
when they were doing Avatar, they did go to like Studio X like, hey, we can do this out our own podcast. Like we feel that passionate about it. Like it was like mostly music stuff, I feel like, if I remember correctly. And then the Studio X was like, no, we love your idea, we love your passion, we got it. Like, and when it comes to Korra though, they're like, nah, just shorten this up. Like we've been playing this stuff on Nick.com, guys. Like just
Hey, you know how normal shows are
shorten it.
on TV? Yeah, yours isn't. So just come on.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Anyway. Okay. So
Let's say, speaking
there,
of
I
which,
do
we're on a
think
time budget.
I know, right? What time is it? Ooh,
10
dang, it's
2.
not okay. Okay,
Yeah,
9:50.
yeah.
Okay, look at that. Anyway, I do like the aspect that I do like. There's a lot of good musical build up and stuff in this episode, and um, and I also like how Tenzin came at the end there and he pretty much kind of reassured Core. I really like that moment. I thought there was some good sincere moments there. So that's kind of wraps up that part of it. All of that was like very personal to Korra and her journey and her setbacks and things like that.
Relationship revealing with Asami, but then also just interpersonal relationships in general, it felt
Yeah,
like to me.
yeah. Asami didn't get her like, oh, my dad was an equalist type of deal. If they did that, it'll probably paint a picture that Asami really has had a lot of stuff uh happen happen to her, and but yeah. Anyway, yeah, and this aspect of it, which is probably the best aspect of it. The thing is, not Brian, Mike, when Brian explained the Bolin and Varric stuff, that's when Mike kind of fell in love with the concept of this episode. It was like, oh, okay, this is really cool. So Varric and Bolin are on the boat with those refugees, and then they're telling a story, kind of just a boring story, and then Varric is like, ah, that was boring. Like I'm gonna tell you a real story. And he comes up with this story about how a mover and how Bolin's gonna be in it, and he kind of just repaints and recaps everything, but to be way more cinematic in a way more stereotypical,
Embellished, yeah.
embellished. Yes, yes, embellished.
It is the most amusing of the trio. I think pretty much hands like it just pure watch value and getting some entertainment just hearing the story.
Yes,
It's the most amusing.
that I the first time I watched the episode, that made the episode worthwhile to watch. Like especially when he's like, and then the fearsome foursome had to figure out how to fight Bolin or Noatak or whoever it was, and then you had Amon, the most windiest swing guy or something like that, and then Unalak, the world's scariest kite there is, or not
Yeah,
Unalak,
the
Matu,
world's
the
scariest kite or
world's
the most evilest kite or whatever the heck he says. I don't
yeah.
know, but his story, the way he tells the story, is what certainly makes it.
Yes, yeah, yeah. The if you read the words on the page, that doesn't do it enough justice. It's definitely the delivery of Varyg's
Yes,
voice actor, and then the
and
part where
maybe saves
it
the episode to a degree.
and they talk on the phone, and Zahira's like, "Hey, hey, Vatu, glad I could catch you at home." then, then the voice actor for Vatu, I found really funny because usually Vatu talks with this huge like bravado, like I am in the darkness and stuff, and here it's just like, oh hey, like it's such a, a cool change.
I had even forgotten about that, but how like stupid and like what a catches you off guard, whatever the word for that is, when you're
Yeah,
hearing that part of the story. Yeah, that was absolutely completely amusing, even outside the context of this episode.
yeah.
Chris, we got
And
about
then how they're
oh,
okay, and then how they didn't want uh they didn't want uh dang, I just said his name on accident. Um, oh my gosh, blanking complete. Unalak. They didn't want Unalak on the phone call. So anyway, it ends in a pretty funny manner.
um, we so running out of time here, but we're gonna discuss some scores. And Chris, I'm glad we talked about this because as I sit here, I think I understand how I'm gonna rate this episode. Just one set of ratings, but how to treat it fairly and still like put real effort into it. I think I know what I want to do.
All right,
Do you care if I just jump in and go first?
go ahead.
I'm putting audiovisual at the lowest. I'm going to hammer that the hardest because that is the part that literally didn't get to be developed. And it makes sense to me. And audiovisually, it's not particularly interesting. So I'm going to say, like, audiovisual, I'm going to give it a 5. It is like the just the mid road of like we put on screen what we had to. It's a 5. They made it happen physically, and that's about it. But the other two feel better. I'll say story would be the middle ground of like it was a decent recap of these tremendous stories. It was a decent clips style recap of these great stories. So I'm going to say maybe that's a 7. And then the memorable, though, is where I'm going to give it credit for the context that we understand of like, hey, I'm going to allow myself to think about the situation that Bryan and Mike were in and memorable. You know, that plays into my understanding and enjoyment of the episode. The fact that it's so unique and weird, the way that they tackled it, and they tried really hard to put some kind of quality product on screen with nothing, basically. And so I'll say memorable is like I don't know, like a 9. Let's just go up the ladder. They will say 5, 7, 9 comes out at like an even 7. So it is a bad
Mm,
episode, relatively speaking.
yeah,
It's not garbage, and I'm going to allow myself to give it that kind of credit for understanding the context with that memorable um, gimmick, if you will. So yeah,
yep.
5, 7, 9, 7 average.
5, 7, 9, 7 average. Okay. So the first time I watched this episode, besides the Varric part, I was like, it's a whatever. I never need to watch the episode again. For some reason, this time watching it, I found myself enjoying it a lot more than I would normally. So audio visual though, I can't disagree with you that much. I will add this: I do think there was some great moments of music. Granted, they were kind of reusing music, but also they used a lot of the same music. I thought specifically during chorus time, they made a good use of the music.
That's fair.
That's made a good use of the animation that they had available to them. Like to do that 4-person phone call, 4-way phone call, I think was pretty good. Um, but for audio visual, I'm gonna go a 6. Yeah, a 6 for audio visual. For story, I think I actually found way more importance in the story than I ever gave it credit for. I think especially when it comes to Korra uh, and just talking about her own hardships, things like that, and then Tenzin reassuring her. That was a really good moment for me. So for story, I'm torn. So okay, I gotta think about this. The Mako stuff though was irrelevant to the story almost, and then the Varric stuff was kind of just a good story within that. So story, I'm gonna give it 7.5.
Okay.
Yes, 7.5. Good with 7.5. And then for memorable, I'm just go ahead and give it an 8.5 because I do this is a very memorable episode. Like I crack up laughing at the Varric stuff. Like that stuff is really good. And this time around the Korra stuff is really good. I think I think I could really just do without the Mako. It drags the episode down probably more than I remembered.
And Chris, that's perfect. That puts you at a 7.12. And so I'm at a
Ooh,
7, right? So in the end, we're kind of feeling similarly about this. And that is low, right? Relative to the big picture.
yeah.
That's a low score. There's no way around it. It's not the lowest by, like, we both have sub 7 episodes separately. And there's a few
Yeah.
that even together are sub 7. And, I think I'm okay with
Where
that.
did Ember? Okay, where did Ember Island players land at? I'm
You were
curious.
hard on it. You said 7.1 total. You were pretty hard on the story
Yeah,
in Ember Island Players,
that
which
seems
is
right.
you weight your story so heavily that hurts. I had
Yeah.
it at an 8.5. I found it very amusing. My story was my lowest score. I still had it an 8 because I loved the way they retold it. So we had that one at a 7.8 total, mostly by my weight. Yours was very similar. Technically, you have Ember Island Players lower than this, which hurts
That's
a
a hot.
little.
That's a hot take.
That hurts me a little bit, but I can't argue with the numbers. It's science or math or whatever you want to.
Thing is, I was really curious where
You
we were at with
you
that
hit the
because
story so hard on that one that really, yeah. But whatever, said what we said.
because when I was watching, I was like, I think I might like this as much as Ember Island players, and I know I don't love Ember Island players. Other people do love that episode, and so the fact that it came out like really really close, I'm not surprised.
Okay. I don't love Ember Island Players, but I do really like it in terms of what it's trying to do. So I can put myself in those shoes comfortably. And I like this one considerably less still. So, but hey, overall we're very close, and I like the way that we attacked it, and it feels like a very fair rating to both context and quality.
Yeah.
Well, hey, not to cut and run, but we are going to go record the next episode with our special guest that you guys all watched last week. We hope it's great. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching Avatar: The Last Podcasters. I almost said I'm Chris. That's Shawn. I'm Shawn. That's Chris over there, and I'll put all the details in the description. And hopefully my closing is less long than my opening. Oh man, I can't even find my closing down here. Chris, quick, buy me some time while I find my closing. What the heck? Where'd my closing go?
See what else was I gonna say? Oh, I love Eric saying that the truth. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, and I think that is like one thing scarily accurate.
That's beautiful. I do love
Because
that. Chris, I also figured out why the opening was so long. It's because I used the closing instead of the opening. So we're just going to do 2 closings now. My bad.
that's funny.
We'll see you guys next time.